And I'll tell you what, about a month ago, we said something on this show. I said something on this show, and I was called a buffoon. People on the internet were telling me that this show was starting to turn into First Take, that I was Skip Bayless, that I had sold out, that I had become a stooge. And I said, no. I'm just telling you what we're piecing together. And now that particular story is gaining a lot of steam in the eyes of humans that know stuff. Tom Brady is potentially going, I'm coming home, coming home. Tell the world I'm coming home. Let the rain wash away all the pain of yesterday. Tom Brady's going to the Niners, they say, which is his childhood team. The Niners quarterback Jimmy G, who guided his team to a Super Bowl. Now, granted, handed the ball off a lot because they had an incredible run game and a good offensive line, and George Kittle was just moving bodies, and the defense was incredible. But Jimmy G, a man who has had a lot of success as the quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, a man that when he plays, the Niners win. When he doesn't, the Niners lose. When he's not playing, they end up the number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft. Whenever he is playing, they end up in the Super Bowl. There is a lot of conversation and a lot of steam generating towards the storyline that Jimmy G will be traded from the Niners back to the New England Patriots. Bill Belichick gets this young, handsome, up-and-coming quarterback of the future that originally it was said that he wanted to keep in-house. He and Kraft got into a disagreement, so they shipped Jimmy G over to the Niners. He went undefeated that first year. Then he became the starter the next year. Obviously, early in the season, in the fourth game, he decided to zig instead of zag. The Niners stink, get the second overall pick, bring in Bosa, bang, go to the Super Bowl. Bill Belichick gets his young pride and joy, handsome Italian back in Jimmy G. The Patriots are now set for another 20 years, if they would like that, in the Niners that have a roster currently that can win a Super Bowl. We're in the lead in the fourth quarter against a well-oiled machine in the Kansas City Chiefs. They get a quarterback for the next 2 to 3 years that is the greatest of all time. This would be a situation where I think Patriots fans wouldn't even be mad at Tom. They would almost thank Tom for setting them up for the next 15, 20 years. And the Niners fans would be like, all right, we got the GOAT. We got a guy that wouldn't miss that throw in the fourth quarter. We got a guy that'll come right into a team that he can hand the ball off and do well. He'll have a tight end in George Kittle. He'll have Debo on the offensive side of the ball. And if the rumors are true that he's keeping in touch with rapper Antonio Brown, even though Emmanuel Sanders' contract might be up, you bring in Antonio Brown to San Francisco. Great defense still. All of a sudden, the Niners, contenders once again, obviously. The Patriots got their quarterback of the future. Josh McDaniels has a guy that already knows his system and can play good. This seems like a win-win-win-win-win. And that would be a wild day in sports if this was to happen. We're talking about one of the biggest moves in NFL history if this was to happen. And everybody who seems to know what's going on is saying, hey, there's real potential here. And just 1 month ago, whenever we said it on this show, now granted, I guess it was a day after the Super Bowl, and we could have let it simmer for a little bit. But whenever I said, hey, you think Tom Brady misses that pass for the Niners? You think there's any thought at all by John Lynch and the boys over there in San Francisco that they're like, you know what? If we get Tom Brady back in here, maybe we send Jimmy G back to New England, we win that Super Bowl. Well, hello there. Utilize the promo code PAYTHEBILLS and get $20 off your first order from SeatGeek. Now, back to the magic. I'm not saying they're thinking that. I'm saying that we had that conversation because that's what we have to do on this show. And this is what people told me in the comments section. People told me 0 chance of that trade ever happening, in my opinion, says Ray Bees. Eric Hoop says, not going to happen. Then you go and just keep scrolling through. Deathly Meme, obviously a legend on YouTube, says, sigh. I hope this was meant as a joke. Then you go to the next ones. This one never happens, says Ricky Williams, not the one that smoked and ran the ball. I'm thinking this is just a troll. I don't care if it's Brady or not. The dude's washed up. It's like all these stupid humans in the comments section. Jez Pat, sometimes you just go too far, says who. And then on Twitter, it was even worse, calling me Skip Bayless and saying I'm making things up and that I sold out in the likes of clicks and things like that. And now here we are about a month later, and that conversation is real. And once again, I will say this. Tom Brady has handled this so perfectly that all options are on the table. Anybody like that guy that said Brady's washed up, you're wrong. Every single team, aside from like 5 of them, if they had a chance to get Tom Brady at the age of 42, about to be 43 going into next season, would take him immediately. I don't care if you were in the Super Bowl last year. If you get a chance to get Tom Brady, you take. I don't care if you're in the AFC Championship last year. I don't care who you are. If you get a chance to get the GOAT in your building, you get him. And if he goes back to San Francisco and this whole thing comes full circle with Jimmy G going back to New England and Bill Belichick just sitting there laughing at the top of the mountain, thinking of how stupid everybody is and how smart he is, this is going to be a magical day in the football world. I can't wait to see what happens.